I found out that my wife had kept a box of letters and photos of her ex in the closet for years and read them every time I went on a business trip. I thought we were happy, but now I'm not sure if I was even a part of her real life. My wife's name is Rachel. We have been together for 11 years, married for 8. She is an English teacher who loves old books and romantic movies. She knew how to make a house a home. She was attentive to me, always remembered my important dates, and cooked my favorite dishes. We did not have children, although we tried, but I never doubted our closeness. I believed that we were the kind of couple that stuck together no matter what. I work in logistics. This means frequent and long business trips. A week in Denver, then 2 more in Chicago, then Texas. I always brought her little things, cute magnets, airport candy, notebooks with quotes. She seemed genuinely happy. She would hug me and say, "I missed you, baby." But now I think she didn't miss me. She missed someone else. It was a few months ago. I came back from trip to Dallas a day early. My flight was rescheduled, and I decided to surprise her. She didn't answer the phone, so I just walked into the house with the key. It was quiet. It was quiet the way it is when no one is waiting for you. Rachel wasn't home. She left a note. "I went to Laura's for coffee. I'll be back at 7. I sat down on the couch, thinking I would collect her books, which were scattered all over the bedroom. We had an agreement. We each had our own half of the closet. Hers was the right side. Mine was the left. But she often put things downstairs, in the middle, where there was usually only a box with our old wedding photos. I decided to pick up that box to put her books in it, and then I noticed that there was another box underneath it. It was gray, dusty, but obviously open a lot because the edges were a little worn and the tape was only on one side. I hadn't planned to go in there, but the box was there where it hadn't been before. It was lying in my half. For some reason, I felt I had a right to know. I opened it. The first thing that hit me was the smell. Subtle, but very specific. A perfume she never wore around me. Sweet, with notes of vanilla and something woody. It was masculine. Inside were letters. Real paper letters. With broken edges, written with a pen, in a neat handwriting, not hers. I took the first one. "Ray, I saw you in my dreams again. You were laughing in my shirt, and then you disappeared. I woke up at night and looked for you next to me, but there was only emptiness. And as always, I was angry with myself for letting you go." I reread it. My heart was pounding in my throat. The letter was dated 2013, the year we started dating, before we got married. I picked up another letter, and another one, and 2 more. There were more than 40 of them, all from the same man, all signed, "Always yours, D." The box also contained old photos of her on the beach, with that man, in an embrace in bed, in a car. Not naked, but intimate. Such photos are taken when you are in love, when you live in the moment, when you are happy. Under them, I found a souvenir, a ticket to Los Angeles. The date was 2015. She said she was visiting her sister. I was sitting on the floor with all this on my lap and thinking, maybe this is all in the past? But there was a note at the bottom. It was written recently. "I reread your letters after Jake left. I sometimes dream that one day I will open the door and it will be you. And we'll laugh again like we did in that hotel on the beach. I never stopped thinking about you. Even when I love him, I think of you. I'm sorry. Forgive us." I don't know how long I sat on that floor. I didn't even hear her come home. She came in, kicked off her shoes, shouted, "Baby, I'm home," and froze. Because she saw that I was holding her box. Her dirty little past. Her clean, tidy present, destroyed, scattered on the carpet. She didn't say a word. She just sat down across from me, pale as death. "Who is D?" I asked. Her lips trembled. It was once, and still is. I threw that last letter in front of her. Silence. The kind of silence that weighs on your lungs more than words. "I love you, Jake. I've never been able to forget him. Sometimes, I'd read it again to remember how it felt. What? I could barely breathe. What did you want to feel? What you miss with me?" She was crying, and I sat there with my heart already breaking. She cried that night. A quiet, restrained sobbing that didn't ask for comfort, didn't seek forgiveness. It was the kind of crying that said, "I know I broke something, and I know it can't be fixed." I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I didn't storm out. but I couldn't sleep in our bed either. So I spent the night on the couch, staring at the ceiling, thinking about all the times I told her I trust you completely, and how she used that trust to build a shrine to another man, just behind my clothes. The next morning, she tried to talk. She brought me coffee. How ironic, and sat beside me in silence. I want to tell you everything, she finally said. I looked at her. This woman I loved. This woman who had whispered that she missed me every time I left for work trips, who cried when we lost our baby, who held my hand through the worst days of my life. This woman who now sat with her hand shaking, like a child about to confess to breaking a window, when in reality, she broke me. Go on, I said. My voice was hoarse. She told me about Daniel. They met in college. He was her first real love. The one who made her skip classes, write bad poetry, sneak into concerts. The one who gave her first real heartbreak, too. They were together for 3 years. He cheated on her once. She left him, but he came back with letters. Always letters. Never texts. She had a box of them even then. And you kept them all these years? I asked. I didn't read them for a long time. But after we lost the baby, I don't know, I just needed something. And I found the box again. So he's your comfort? I asked. The man who cheated on you is your safe place? No, she whispered. But he was the version of me that felt alive. I read those letters to remember that girl. Then who am I? I said. The man who helped you pay off your debts? The man who sat with you through therapy? The man who thought we were building something real? She didn't answer, and that silence told me everything. I left the house that day, told her I needed time. I checked into a hotel, but I didn't rest. I started digging. First, I went through the letters again, not to punish myself, but to find out who he was. Daniel. No last name, but there were clues. One envelope had a return address. New York, 10003. I cross-referenced it with his signature. He always signed as D. But in one letter he mentioned working late on the 53rd floor, Wall Street bullshit. That narrowed it. I searched for LinkedIn profiles with Daniel in Manhattan finance firms. I matched handwriting with online signatures on old documents. I even found a blog post from 2016 with a scanned handwritten note thanking a coworker. Exact same D. His name was Daniel Hartley. He worked at a hedge fund, lived in Soho. I looked up his image on Google. There he was, a clean-shaven guy with cold eyes and a charming smile. The kind of man who knew he could break hearts and still be admired. And then I did something I didn't plan on. I messaged him. I wrote, Subject, your letters to R. Daniel, you don't know me, but I know you. I've read the letters. All of them. You wrote to my wife. I think we should meet. J. To my surprise, he replied within hours. Subject, your letters to R. I wondered if this day would come. Name the place. No tricks. D. We met in a bar in the East Village. Neutral ground. He wore a suit, like he walked out of a commercial. Smelled expensive. Carried himself like someone who never loses. Jake, right? He said. I nodded. He ordered whiskey. I didn't drink. I assume you're here to punch me or threaten me, he said, sipping slowly. And I'd understand. No, I'm here for the truth, I replied. He looked at me and laughed. The truth? Man, I wrote her letters. I didn't touch her, but you wanted to. Of course I did, he said without hesitation. You ever tasted something so good that even thinking about it made your teeth ache? I clenched my jaw. You don't have to like me, he went on. But I never forced her to read them. She chose to, and she wrote back. My stomach dropped. She wrote back. Oh, he grinned. She didn't tell you that part? I felt like the floor fell out under me. He pulled out his phone, scrolled through photos. I deleted most of them out of respect, but not this one. He showed me a picture, a selfie of her in a hotel room, the same room I saw in the old photos. Her eyes sparkled. Her smile looked nothing like the tired one I'd grown used to. Date stamp. June 2019. I was in Seattle that week. She said she just wanted to feel it again, he said. And she did. For one night. I stood up. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. You said you never touched her. I didn't until then, he replied. But she kissed me first. Always has. I walked out without a word. I thought I was coming for the truth. But I left with something worse. A fact. My wife had cheated on me, not just emotionally, not just with memories, with her body, and I never even suspected it. I didn't go back to the hotel. I didn't call anyone. I just walked through the city, past strangers laughing outside cafes, past couples holding hands like nothing in the world could touch them. I wondered how many of them were like us, smiling on the outside, 1,000 cracks beneath. By the time I returned to the hotel, my hands were numb and my brain was fried. I couldn't sleep. My body wanted rest, but my heart kept slamming against my ribs like a prisoner screaming to be let out. I stared at my phone all night, waiting to see if she would message me. She didn't. Not once. She knew I had the box. She saw the look on my face. But she didn't think I'd find him. And now I had. The next morning, I went home. I didn't knock. She was sitting on the couch, bundled in one of my hoodies, holding a cup of tea. When she saw me, her face lit up for a second, then froze when she saw mine. I closed the door slowly behind me. "We need to talk," I said. She set the mug down. "Jake, you lied to me," I said. Her face dropped. "I told you everything." "No," I said. "You told me your version of everything. You left out the night in the hotel. The photos. The kiss. The fucking truth." Her eyes widened. "How do you?" "I met him," I snapped. Her hand went to her mouth. "I met Daniel," I said coldly. "And you know what's worse than finding those letters? Having him tell me the parts you left out." Her body curled in on itself, like I'd struck her. She whispered, "I didn't want to hurt you." "You didn't want to hurt me?" I laughed. "You didn't want to hurt the man who married you? Who stayed through every therapy session? Who loved you even when you pulled away? But you had no problem fucking your ex in a hotel room while I was across the country." "I didn't plan it," she cried. "I swear to God, Jake, I was lonely. I felt empty. And your solution was to crawl into bed with the man who broke you in college?" I said, voice shaking. "That's who you ran to?" "While I was out there working my ass off to keep us afloat." Tears streamed down her face. "It was just once, and I regretted it the moment it was over." "But you still wrote him," after I growled. "You still kept his letters. You read them like bedtime stories when I wasn't here." She didn't deny it. She couldn't. "I can't do this," I said quietly. "I can't be the second choice. I can't be the man you settled for while fantasizing about someone else." She reached for me, but I stepped back. "Jake, please," she whispered. "Let's go to therapy again. Let me fix this." "You can't fix it," I said, "because it was never broken. It was fake. All of it. The smiles, the dinners, the anniversaries. You were always looking backward, weren't you?" She tried to speak, but I cut her off. "You had a whole alternate life inside that box. One where I didn't exist." I moved out that day. I stayed with my brother for a while. He didn't ask many questions, just handed me a beer and said, "You need anything, I got you." I started divorce paperwork the following week. When she got the envelope, she called me 10 times in a row. I didn't answer a single one. She sent texts, emails, a letter, ironically, all saying the same thing. "I'm sorry. Please don't throw us away." But she already did. The moment she kissed him, the moment she undressed for him, the moment she chose memory over reality. I found myself reading her final letter one night, like a ghost retracing his death. Here's what it said. "I never stopped loving you, but a part of me still belonged to that broken girl he left behind. I thought I buried her, but she came back the day I lost our baby, and she never really left. I'm sorry for being weak. I'm sorry for hurting the man who deserved more than I ever gave. I wish I could go back, not to him, but to the day I opened that box. I wish I had burned it instead." It was poetic, but even poetry couldn't undo betrayal. People always talk about closure like it's this clean moment, a bow you tie on the end of pain. But the truth is, closure is ugly. It's jagged. It leaves scars. Sometimes it comes in the form of a box full of lies. Sometimes it's a handshake with the man who stole the woman you loved. Sometimes it's simply walking away, not because you stopped loving them, but because you finally loved yourself enough to say, enough. 3 weeks after I filed for divorce, I got an email from her. Subject, "Please read this one." I didn't want to. I almost deleted it. But curiosity is poison. It seeps in even when you're armored in rage. The message was short. "Jake, there's something you don't know. Something I never had the courage to tell you. If you can meet me one last time, I'll tell you everything. Not for us, just for truth. Please, 1 hour. That's all I ask. Against my better judgment, I said yes. We met at the park near our old apartment, the one where she once read poetry under a tree, barefoot, laughing like she didn't have a care in the world. Back when I thought that laugh belonged to me. She looked different, tired, pale, like someone who hadn't slept in days. Thank you for coming, she said. Get to the point, I said. I didn't want to sit on any old benches, share memories, or pretend to care. She nodded. I lied about more than the hotel. I stiffened. Go on. She looked down at her hands. It didn't just happen once. The silence after that could have shattered glass. I saw him more than once, she whispered. It started after we lost the baby. You were so strong. You kept moving forward. But I couldn't. I broke. I didn't know how to tell you that every time I looked at our empty nursery, I wanted to scream. I was grieving too. I snapped. But I didn't crawl into bed with someone else to deal with it. I know, she said, voice cracking. But when Daniel reached out again, I let him back in. It started with calls, then letters, then the weekend in L.A. Weekend. My jaw locked. You said it was one night. She was crying now. It was 3. I stood up, turned away from her. My hands were shaking. I needed you, Jake, but I didn't know how to ask for help without feeling like a failure. And he just showed up, like an escape hatch. And you took it, I said, my voice dull like lead. You ran through it, while I was still holding the door open for you. She stood too, but didn't move closer. It got worse. We went to Texas that summer. He flew in. He stayed at a hotel on 5th. I went to see him twice. I kept lying. Every time I kissed you, I had to shut off a piece of myself. I clenched my fists so hard my knuckles ached. Why are you telling me this now? I asked. What's the point? Because I wanted you to hate the real me, she whispered. Not the version I try to keep clean. You deserve the whole truth, Jake. You always did. I looked at her, this stranger I used to love, and for the first time in my life, I felt nothing. Not rage. Not heartbreak. Not longing. Just absence. Like the part of me that loved her had finally burned out. Nothing left but smoke. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream or drink or punch walls. I went home and wrote it all down. Every letter, every date, every lie, every goddamn detail she gave me. I called my lawyer the next morning and told him to push everything forward. I wanted no spousal support, no drawn-out mediations, just my freedom. The house, the furniture, the money, I didn't care. She didn't contest. Maybe out of guilt. Maybe because she knew she didn't deserve to. 2 months later, I signed the final papers. Walked out of the courthouse with a pen in my pocket and a void in my chest. You know what no one tells you about betrayal? It doesn't just kill love. It kills memory. Now, when I look back, every good moment feels tainted. Like a beautiful photograph with something rotting just outside the frame. You start questioning everything. Did she really mean that smile? Was the I love you genuine or rehearsed? Was I ever enough? And worst of all, how did I not see it? People ask me if I'll ever forgive her. The truth? I don't know. Forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you. But when someone burns down your house and offers you ashes wrapped in ribbon, it's hard to say thanks. Right now, I'm learning how to be alone again. How to cook for one. How to sleep without the ghost of her breath beside me. Sometimes I still see the box in my dreams. Those letters. That smile in the hotel mirror. The man who wore my wife's memories like trophies. But every day it gets a little easier. Every day the weight shifts for what she did to what I'll never allow again. This isn't a story with a happy ending, but it's the one that set me free. I thought the worst part would be finding out. Then I thought the worst part was hearing her confess. Then I thought it was signing the divorce papers. But the worst part was waking up alone 3 months later and realizing I still missed her. Not her, not the liar, not the cheater, but the idea of her, the version I loved, the woman who kissed my forehead when I had migraines, the one who left dumb sticky notes in my lunchbox that said, "You're my favorite human," the girl who cried when I bought her that stupid pink mixer she said we couldn't afford. I missed that woman, but that woman was a ghost, and I was trying to build a life with a shadow. I started therapy. I didn't want to, not really. Felt like admitting weakness. But my brother kept nudging me, and one day I just walked in. My therapist was a quiet woman named Dr. Klein. She didn't offer sympathy, just silence, room, a place to say it all. At first, I was stiff, defiant, like I had something to prove. But within 2 sessions, I cracked open. I feel like I was tricked, I told her. You were, she said. But that doesn't make you stupid. That makes her cruel. I stared at the ceiling. She was hurting. I mumbled. So were you, Dr. Klein said. But you didn't destroy her. That line stuck with me for days. Because I realized something. I was always the rescuer in our relationship. The fixer. The one who patched holes, apologized first, gave the benefit of the doubt. Even when I was bleeding. And when she couldn't fix herself, she ran back to the man who broke her. Some people aren't looking for safety. Some people crave chaos. Because it makes them feel real. And I was too solid. Too stable. Too much like home. So she burned the house down. Rebuilding trust is like learning to walk after a car crash. You want to run. You want to move on. But your legs don't believe you anymore. I tried dating a few months later. Matched with a woman named Brielle. She was kind, funny, a nurse. We had dinner, talked about dogs, shared bad childhood stories. She leaned in for a kiss by the car, and I froze. Because for a split second, my brain whispered, is she lying too? I pulled away, apologized, told her I wasn't ready. She understood, but I hated myself all the way home. Rage is loud, but trauma is quiet. It eats you in silence. It shows up in hesitation, in second-guessing every smile, every good morning, every gentle touch. But I kept going, because I didn't want to become bitter. I wanted to be better, and that meant not letting her destroy the part of me that still believed in love. 6 months after the divorce, I saw her again. By accident. Grocery store. She was in the frozen aisle. Alone. We locked eyes. She smiled small, guilty. I nodded. She said nothing. I said nothing. And that was enough. That moment, that stillness, was when I knew she no longer had power over me. Not her letters. Not her confessions. Not even the box. She was just a chapter. A brutal, gut-wrenching chapter. But not the whole story. I burned the box on our anniversary. Took it to the woods behind my brother's place. Poured lighter fluid over it. Watched it go up in flames. The letters curled and blackened. The photos blistered and split. Her handwriting turned to ash. And for the first time in over a year, I felt clean. Not happy. Not healed. But clean. Like I could breathe in a room where she no longer lived. They say healing isn't linear. They're right. Some days I still wake up angry. Some days I wonder where Daniel is, and if he destroyed someone else's life. Some days I still hear her laugh in my head and wish I could forget it. But most days, I'm okay. Most days, I wake up and make my own coffee. Most days, I smile at strangers and don't flinch. Most days, I remember that I survived. And that's enough. For now. It started with a blank notebook. Not some fancy leather journal. Just a $2 spiral bound I bought from a gas station when I couldn't sleep. I didn't even plan to write. I just wanted something to do with my hands that wasn't checking her old social media like an addict craving one last hit. Page 1. I stared at it for 20 minutes. Then I wrote, you never knew how to love the whole of me. Only the parts that reminded you of him. It wasn't poetry. It wasn't even good. But it felt like cutting a rotten tooth out of my own mouth. So I wrote more. Every day. Every night, sometimes while eating cold leftovers, sometimes while sitting in the car after work with the radio off, sometimes with tears I didn't realize were falling. I didn't call them letters. Not really, but I addressed them like I used to address her texts. Hey you, you'd laugh if you saw me now. I wonder if your laugh is still the same or if it's learned to lie too. I hope he ruins you the way you ruined me. Sometimes cruel, sometimes sad, sometimes soft, but never fake. I was more honest in that notebook than I'd ever been in our marriage. And the irony? These were the letters I never wanted her to find. One day I wrote something different. I don't hate you anymore. I just don't recognize you. It scared me a little, because I meant it. Hatred is sharp. It cuts fast. But detachment is worse. It's like watching someone you once loved die while they're still breathing. And you can't even cry at the funeral. I realized then, she didn't just cheat on me. She killed the version of her that I loved. And that's a kind of death no eulogy can fix. I started sleeping better. Not every night, but enough. I stopped checking her Instagram. I stopped comparing every new woman I met to her. I stopped replaying that conversation with Daniel over and over in my head, because in the end, they deserved each other. Two people so addicted to the past, they couldn't see the damage they dragged into the future. She saw his name as magic. He saw her pain as currency. And I saw myself as free. Not unscarred. Not whole. But free. Eventually, I started writing without her in mind at all. Short stories. Observations from coffee shops. Random thoughts about grief, or hope, or trust. Little pieces of me I hadn't heard from in years. A few of them I posted anonymously. One of them went viral. It was titled, "I found a box in my closet that told me I was never enough." It hit 1 million views in 3 days. The comments rolled in like rain. My ex did the same. "This broke me. Thank you. I didn't know anyone else had lived this." I wasn't alone. My pain had company. And for the first time, I wasn't ashamed of it. One of the last entries in the notebook was this. "You were the fire, but I was the match. I lit everything because I believed in warmth. You burned it because you believed in escape. Then I closed it, taped it shut, labeled it, 'Do not reopen,' because some stories aren't meant to be rewritten, just remembered and released." The box she left behind tried to define my story, but I wrote my own, word by painful word, and no one, not even her, can take that away from me now. It was a Thursday, cold, gray sky like smeared concrete. I was headed to my brother's place. He'd convinced me to visit for game night. I wasn't in the mood, but I was trying to say yes to life more often, even if I didn't feel like it. I took the train. I never used to, but traffic had been garbage, and I figured maybe I needed to let someone else take the wheel for once. She sat across from me. Brown boots, denim jacket, hair pulled up in a messy bun with a red pencil sticking through it like an accidental crown. She had a book in her lap, Flannery O'Connor. Everything that rises must converge, but she wasn't reading. She was people-watching. Not creepily, just curiously. I noticed she glanced at me a couple times, probably because I was clutching my old notebook like it was a Bible. We hit a stop. A guy in a suit brushed past her too hard, didn't apologize. She shook her head and muttered, "Typical." I smirked. She saw. "You ever notice how the worst people wear cologne like it's armor?" she said. I blinked. "You just described half of Manhattan." She laughed. It was a real laugh, not the practiced kind I'd learned to decode. "You a writer?" she asked, nodding at my notebook. "Trying," I said. "Mostly trauma and sarcasm." "That's the best genre," she grinned. We talked. Nothing heavy, nothing dramatic. She said her name was Lena, graphic designer. 2 years out of a bad relationship. Didn't trust easy. Didn't fake smiles. Didn't pretend to be okay when she wasn't. It was refreshing. She didn't try to impress me. She didn't overshare. She didn't ask questions she wasn't ready to hear the answers to. When I mentioned I'd gone through a divorce, she just said, "Oof," and offered a piece of gum. No pity, no probing, just presence. We got off at the same stop. Before she left, she said, "I hope you keep writing." I nodded. "I hope you keep talking to strangers." She paused, half-smiled. "I don't usually." And then, before walking away, she turned and said, "You have sad eyes, but you're not done yet." I thought about that for the next 3 days. It wasn't a grand moment. No fireworks. No cheesy music swelling in the background. But it stayed with me. Because for the first time since her, I felt something other than anger or hurt. I felt curious. And that was a start. 2 weeks later, I ran into Lena again. Same train. Same red pencil in her hair. She sat beside me this time. "You ever write about me?" she asked. "Not yet." "Well, make me interesting," she smirked. "I don't think that's a problem." We didn't talk about love, or trust, or heartbreak. We talked about weird dreams, about sandwiches, about what your favorite pen says about your soul. And slowly, piece by fragile piece, I felt something thaw, not heal completely. Not yet, but thaw. And maybe, in a world where some people hide boxes of old lovers behind your clothes, there are also people who sit beside you on trains and say, "You're not done yet." It came in a plain, ivory envelope. No return address. Just my name, typed in bold serif. For a second, I thought it might be something from work or maybe a bill I'd forgotten about. But when I opened it, the first thing I saw was her name. Rachel Elizabeth Carter, and Daniel Christopher Hartley, together with their families, request the honor of your presence on the occasion of their wedding. I sat there, staring at the paper like it was toxic. It felt like someone had dropped a stone down my spine. I read it twice, then a third time. My ex-wife, marrying the man she used to sneak off to sea while I was 1,200 miles away, working overtime to build a life for us. I don't know how long I sat there, holding that invitation. The paper felt heavier than it should have, like it carried every lie she'd ever told in its fibers. There was a photo tucked inside, a classic black and white engagement shoot. They were smiling. Of course they were smiling. Because why wouldn't they? They won. They got what they wanted. And I was the collateral. Later that night, I told Lena. We weren't official. Not dating. Just this gentle thing growing between us. But I trusted her enough. She didn't say screw them. She didn't roll her eyes or get jealous. She just asked, how do you feel? That wrecked me more than any pity ever could. I told her the truth. I thought I'd feel angry. But mostly, I just feel used. Like I was the warm-up act. She nodded. Then don't pretend it doesn't hurt. But also don't give it more power than it deserves. She paused. Are you going? I laughed. God, no. She smiled. Good. Then she passed me her drink and said, cheers to dodging a bullet with great hair. Still, I couldn't let it go. That night, I pulled out the notebook again. I wrote, I hope your wedding is beautiful. I hope the flowers bloom, the food doesn't suck, and no one gives a drunk speech that exposes you. I hope your smile that day is real, because it wasn't when we took our vows. And I hope he reads your new letters and doesn't mind that they used to have my name on them. The invite sat on my desk for a week. Every time I passed it, my chest tightened. Not because I wanted her back, but because some part of me, the part that was still bleeding, felt mocked. Like she was saying, you were just the pit stop on my way home. But here's the truth. You don't need to be invited to the crash to know the building fell. I knew who she was now, and who I was without her. And the fact that she thought I'd want to come watch her marry the man she once cheated on me with, that said more about her than it ever did about me. On the day of their wedding, I went hiking. Lena came with me. We didn't talk about the invite. We just climbed, took photos of clouds, ate peanut butter sandwiches on a cliff, laughed about how out of shape we both were. And as the sun set, I whispered, almost to myself, she's probably saying I do right now. Lena looked at me. You okay? I nodded. And for once, I meant it. I am, because her story was over. And mine was just getting interesting. It had been almost a year since the divorce. The wedding invite was long burned. Lena and I had slowly grown closer. We weren't rushing, just existing together in a space where trust wasn't forced, only earned. So when my phone rang and her name appeared on the screen, Carol Carter, Rachel's mother, I nearly dropped it. I hadn't spoken to her since the day Rachel and I split. She'd sent me a text back then, something vague about being sorry things didn't work out and wishing us both peace. It felt polite, cold, like something you say to someone who died but didn't leave a body. I answered anyway. Hello. A pause. Then, Jake. It's Carol. Her voice was softer than I remembered. Not brittle like Rachel's when she lied. Just tired. Hi, Carol. I know this is unusual, but I just needed to talk to you. Silence stretched between us like a taut wire. I wouldn't have called, she said, but Rachel won't talk to me. Not about what matters. I leaned back in my chair, unsure where this was going. She married him, I said flatly. I figured that was the part that mattered. I told her not to, she whispered. That caught me off guard. Excuse me. I told her not to marry him. She said she was happy, but her voice cracked. You don't hold on to boxes of another man's letters if you're really happy. I sat up. My blood went cold. You knew about the box? I asked. A long, guilty pause. She showed me once. Years ago. Said she kept it for closure. I told her it was a bad idea. My jaw clenched. She didn't listen, obviously. No, Carol said quietly. She never listened when it came to Daniel. Another pause. She told me you found it. She tell you she slept with him while we were married too? Silence. Then no. But I figured. I rubbed my temples. What do you want from me, Carol? She inhaled shakily. I want to apologize. You were good for her. Good to her. I know that. That's not your apology to make. I know, she said. but she won't, and it's eating me up. I stayed quiet. She told me about Lena, Carol said suddenly. That you met someone. That made my stomach twist. She's watching me? No. I mean, she asked around. Said she saw you on social media. Saw you happy. I laughed bitterly. Well, that's rich. She broke me, and now she wants to check in. No, Carol said. She's not checking in. She's punishing herself. I didn't say anything. She's not doing well, Carol continued. I'm not saying that to make you feel sorry for her. God knows she made her bed. But I wanted you to know that not everyone forgot what you gave her. I closed my eyes. Carol, I said slowly, I loved your daughter, and she carved that love out of me with a spoon. Slow and deep. I don't care if she's sad. I don't care if she's miserable, because I tried to save her, and all she did was drown me with her. A long pause. I understand, Carol said. I hope you do, I replied, because I'm done saving her. After we hung up, I sat there for a long time. Not angry, not shaken, just done, because that call proved something. Even the people who raised her knew she broke me. Even they couldn't defend her choices. And if the woman who brought her into the world called me for closure, then I didn't need hers. Not ever again. That night, Lena and I sat on the floor with cheap takeout and a movie neither of us paid attention to. At one point, she leaned her head on my shoulder and said, You're really here now, aren't you? I nodded. Yeah, I think I finally am. She smiled. Then I'm glad I waited. I used to think closure was a moment. A single event. A clean goodbye. A letter. An apology. A dramatic confrontation where the truth gets aired out and someone walks away in tears while the other walks off into a sunset. But that never came. Not for me. No tearful apologies in the rain. No Hollywood monologues. No Rachel running through an airport saying she made a mistake. And maybe that was the gift. Because what I got instead was clarity. Slow, patient, brutal clarity. Like a fog lifting, not with sunlight, but with time. It came in small pieces. In Lena's steady presence. Never asking me to heal faster than I could. In mornings I woke up without thinking of Rachel's voice. In nights where I stopped expecting betrayal in the eyes of every new smile. In the silence after Carol's call, where I realized I no longer wanted Rachel to explain herself. I just wanted peace. And peace, I learned, doesn't ask permission. It just shows up one day, sits beside you on the couch, and says, You made it. A few weeks ago, I opened the final drawer of the old desk I hadn't touched in a year. There was one last letter. Folded. Unmarked. Her handwriting. I almost threw it away. But I didn't. I opened it. Jake, if you're reading this, it means I wasn't brave enough to say it to your face. I told myself I was trying to protect you. But the truth is, I was protecting the version of me you believed in. Because once that version was gone, so was your love. I hurt you. I know I did. Not just by cheating, but by lying to myself about who I really was. You deserve better. You still do. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know it wasn't your fault. It was never about you not being enough. It was about me never believing I could be. Rachel, I folded the letter back up, put in a shoebox. Not to cherish, just to remember. Because closure wasn't in the words. It was in the fact that they no longer wrecked me. Lena and I stood in line at a coffee shop last week. A woman in front of us was laughing loudly on the phone. Her voice was familiar. Too familiar. Rachel. She turned around. Saw me. Her smile dropped. I didn't flinch. I didn't stare. I just nodded politely, took Lena's hand, and stepped forward when it was our turn. We ordered. Walked out. Never looked back. That moment? That was closure. Not the pain. Not the apology. Not the past screaming for one more second of my attention. Just the simple truth. I survived her. And I was happy again. Maybe even for the first time.